Welcome to another DIY project. Today I'm trying to use something that's very old and broken, but rather than throw it all away or dump it, I want to try and make, as the title of the video says, a bench drill from it. Now what I'm talking about is this guy here. I bought this years ago and I think I used it maybe half a dozen times, and the batteries were the first thing to go dead on me. They were the old nickel cadmium batteries and they don't last very long. So then I fixed up a battery for it and discovered that the trigger was faulty as well, but the motor, the gearbox and the chuck are fine. And to make a bench drill out of it, obviously I need a stand of some description. So this is what I have here, is this guy here. Now I bought this in Lidl, I think it was, cost me €10 or something like that. I have seen them for sale on eBay, and it's okay of a little thing for light work. Now I'm not talking about driving a 20mm drill bit through half-inch steel or anything like that. No, I'm talking about a little bench drill for light little projects or things that you'd be doing, or where you'd be drilling light material like light timber, even light steel or metal. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It has 4 holes, mounting holes here on the base of it, so I can bolt it down to the bench and have it in a permanent fixture, and I plan on doing that. Now the idea of this guy is, and it is adjustable in height depending on what you're boring and what size bit you've got and all this kind, but the idea is that you put your hand drill like this guy into it. So what you do is you take this off and you're left with a shoulder here, right, and that slides down into this guy here, and you tighten it, and your drill then is sitting. Actually, I'll try and take off this grip altogether. It is pretty tight. Okay, so that comes off, and then you sit him, the drill, up that way, right, and you work it, and you can lock the trigger and away you go. That's all fine, and it works fine and it does the job and there's no problem. The only issue is that if you need this then for something somewhere else in your project or whatever you're doing, whatever work you're doing, you have to undo it from this and A to a Z, right? Where I don't like that. I want to try and make up a permanent little bench drill that will serve my purposes and be battery operated, that it's mobile. I can bring it around with me if need be. Now the problem with this is it doesn't have the shoulder like the other one has, right? It's you know, it's this guy here for regulating your speed and bringing it up into hammer action and all this kind of thing. So it's not going to fit readily into this guy here. So what I need to do is I need to open this, take out the motor, gearbox and chuck section of it combined, and see can I marry the internals of this into this guy here. So that's what the project is about. So I get a screwdriver here, and there's 2, 4, 6, 8 screws, and we'll get started. I just push this to one side here, and Now I did have this open before when I was looking at the trigger part of it to see what I could do maybe to replace it or repair it, but then I felt, what's the point? It's okay of a drill. You'll have the power in the gearbox and that the same as you'd have in any battery operated hand drill, but chances are the trigger will probably go again and let me down, so I decided to opt for this route instead. So there we go. It's as simple as that. And this is the trigger section, and I have it unsoldered from the actual motor at the back, right? And it's this guy that's gone faulty. Now yes, I could go and I could look up this component and buy a replacement or a new one equivalent or whatever, and it would probably work, but I think I saw smoke coming out of here as well, so I wouldn't bother waste my time with it. So this is the gearbox, the motor and the chuck all combined, and I do know that this is working. It's 18 volts, so that's good. Trouble is, will it work in there? It will go in, but it's too, the clamp is too big and it's not going to hold it no matter how much I tighten it. So what I need to do is I need to get a piece of round iron, tubular iron, and make a sleeve that will actually catch between the clamp here and the motor itself. Now the motor has little vents in it, you can see them there, both sides, and there is a little, yes there's a little fan inside as well, so that's obviously for keeping it air cooled. So the whole idea would be not to block those, so I'll have to make a sleeve that will catch tightly in this and hold this firmly, but only come to the bottom of the openings there. Now I did find this lad here, this piece of tubular, and painted and all. Now what I could do is, it will fit. There's little burrs on it there, and that's why it won't slide in at the moment, but with a bit of coaxing we can get it. Now I need to cut a piece kind of up to about there, and then I need to cut a notch in it so that this can expand and contract and tighten around the actual motor. Alright, so this is what I have. So I cut a piece that will just go to there. I've taken a good chunk out of it and I've cleaned it up a little bit, and it should slide up in there. I just open off that clamp fully. Like so. And we'll see, will this guy go up in there? Need a big screwdriver. And we need to open that up even more. And yes. That slides nicely. Now, I'll just lie it down this way. Will the motor go in there? And it, again, I'll probably have to loosen it a little bit. Take this sleeve out, put the sleeve on the motor first, and then put the whole lot into the clamp. That'd be a better idea. Alright, okay, so there you go, and you can see I've left the opening there. Okay, now we need to slide all this in here and bolt it right up against the bottom, this part here right up against the bottom of the clamp, just like that. That went very handy. Okay, and then I can put this guy back in. This is better. Turn it up. And see, will it actually pinch the whole lot tight? Oh yeah. That is rock solid on that. Okay. So we need, there we go, we have the basic principles of it there. Now this whole top section that moves is actually, you can position everything that's, so you can up and down the height, and then you can make sure that the choke is in line with the center of the base, like so, and tighten it, and then put your Allen key there, and that's it, and that looks good. Okay, so the next thing I need, obviously, is power. Now, what I'm going to use for power is obviously a battery, but I want to have speed control, and I want to have reversibility in it as well. So I'm going to use this little DC motor speed controller, and it also gives me forward and reverse positions on it. And what I'll do is I'll just temporarily connect up and see that everything is working. So I have an 18-volt battery here on that drill, and I shall put negative and positive. Okay, and then we take these two, and it doesn't matter where they go on the motor. Oh. Hold on. Right, so push him down in there, and we push him down in there. Right, now, and it doesn't matter, as I say, where these go on the motor, because the switch can change the polarity. So if I turn on my switch here, we see our little LED lighting up, and the more you turn it up, the brighter the LED gets. Right, so just turn it on, and our switch then should give us, oh yeah, that's reverse, that's stop, and that's forward. And we have, so there's the basic principles of it. that looks cool. So right, that is working. Next thing I need to do is make a little box, or buy a plastic little box or housing or whatever you want to call it, to hold all this, the switch and the controller, and put some nice kind of wire on it that it looks both more professional and decorative. Alright, and I would imagine if I had it mounted, say something like there, something like that, and it will travel up and down with the drill. Right, so that would be cool. Okay, what could I make a box of? Well, I have stuff here, and I'll show you this. This is I think this is called wallboard. It's kind of like compressed cardboard. You'd see it on the back of presses, but what this is from is an old flight box I had for the drone that got damaged, and I cut this section out of it. It was a piece that was nice and flat, and it has this nice texture finish on it. So what I'll do is I'll go away and I'll make up a little box, and we'll see how we can position it on it and on here, and then we will mount our controller into it, and our LED and our switch. And also I need to try and come up with some sort of a little cap or cover that would just cover the two terminals there, but not go down the whole way, but some sort of a little cap, plastic or lead of something, that would cover those two terminals and give it a bit of protection. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mark this out, I'll cut it up. I mean, it's only a little box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 2 sides, a front and a back. Sorry, 4, and oh yeah, top and bottom. Right, that's 6. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'll come back to you when I have it actually done. Okay, back again. Magics of editing is fantastic. So this is what I've come up with. Basically I cut out little guys like that, right, and I glued them together, and I marked out for the switch, which should be there, and I marked out for the volume control, which should be up top, and then another hole for the little LED, and this will mount to the back or to the side of it like so. Okay, so I have switch and I have and control, and it will travel up and down with the actual drill. So there'd be no need for big long wires to come out of this and over to the motor to you know, the coil stuff you'd see on a cigarette lighter adapter thing for a car. That type of wire, I would use a small amount to just bring it over and make it look neat, and at least with the coil there'd be a little bit of give in it if you did happen to catch it with something. And I think that would look good there. And then have 2 extra wires going down for your battery. Right, so let's get mounting this whole system. I think the answer would be to glue that there, right, which would be simple enough. Now, what would you do? Switch on top and controller on bottom, or switch on bottom, and speed controller on top. I think I will go for the speed controller on top. Yeah. Right, okay. Let's put this together and see how it works. So you just pull off the volume switch there, undo the little locking nut, and we need to unplug this directional switch, which you can see there. I also need, well, I can put that on at the minute that way, and I'll have the one up, the single line up top. So I put that in there. Yeah, that looks cool. Right. And then I need to get my LED. Now, LEDs can be a bit of a nightmare because I have these little plastic guys for holding the LED in position, but the problem is it's very hard to get the LED into it when it's in the mount. Take it off again, and I will cut off these two because they're the ones that's causing the problem. Cut them off all together. One. And two. You can see the LED. I think that's pretty good. And then we need to connect these two together again, like so. And I need to get this guy up inside there as well. So, alright, and push it out. Now before I do that, or bother, and that's what it's going to look like then. Right. I think that's pretty good. And if I put voltage on it just to let you see the LED working. Negative, positive, and there we go. And you can see that it gets brighter as you turn it up and it dims down. Yeah, I could use that wire. Pull it out there and cut it. switch and an LED. So yeah, I'll put that to one side. And I need to have this guy going in here at the back. And the orange and black one are the motor. As I say, it doesn't matter the polarity with them because the direction of the switch obviously changes the polarity, so that's not an issue. I need a small screwdriver and I need to strip, and I need to, this is the back I'm going to use, so I need to bore a small hole in it, 2 small holes. Okay, 2 small holes. Where is my... Why isn't my drill working? See what I mean? This is what you could use it for. Right, so we want one here. Big enough to let it into it. I don't want it too big because it'll be flopping around. Oh, a little bit bigger. And cut it from this side. Okay. That's one. Now that will go in then and be for the motor, or will I put it for the battery? I could leave that on it and rig up battery guy, couldn't I? Now on the inputs of this, you do have to follow positive and negative, and it is printed on the back. You have positive there and you have negative there. Okay? So we open these two, and we put the positive one inside. Put him in there. Like so. And we put this one in here, which is neutral. Back out of it. And that goes in like so. Just one better than that. Yes, that's better. And we tighten that down. Okay, now if I plug that into my battery here that has a cigarette lighter adapter attached to it, work and give me power. Yes, see there? So that would work as real, which is a car battery I'm connected to at the minute. Yeah. Okay, that's okay. I do have continuity there. Right, so I'll put the little screw back on that one there. I will open this guy and I will clean it all off. It's a bit worse for wear now at the minute, but I will clean it. So that's my battery connection. Right, now all I need is to figure out what I'm going to do for the actual motor itself. Right, just disconnect these two. Like so. It doesn't matter. See, there's no polarity on those. It's only on the input. Okay? The output doesn't matter, and the reason it doesn't matter is because this switch here changes the polarity. That's how you get reverse, forward and reverse, because this and the middle setting on the switch is off. So that's why you're able to get that. Okay. Now, what am I going to do? Okay, I'll leave you for a second, and I'll go and look through my stash of electrical wiring, and I'll see what I can find, and then I'll come back to you when I have that done. Okay? Okay, we're back again, and I've found this. It's good heavy gauge stuff. It's like this, and it's just not coiled up. But that's not a problem. And I got out my better cable strippers and strip that back like so, twist it over, and I need to bore another hole through the back here, let this wire out. Okay, so this then goes through. Now obviously I'll be putting neat little cable ties, or cable strips on it, that it can't slip out. And we have those two open. So, this one here. Okay. Get our little lock nut on it to hold it in position. Hold on. I think we may be somewhere with it now. Yeah. Okay, you get the idea. I need to get that on there and then put on my volume switch. So we'll cut for a second and I'll come back to you when I have this done. Back again. Now I was initially going to glue the back of it on, but then I thought, what if I need to replace the speed controller or a switch or something? It's best that I have access to the back of it. So what I did was I actually have little sprigs. I have 6 of them, little tiny nails, a bit like what a cobbler would use, and I tapped them in instead, and they seem to be holding it firmly in position. And what I'll do then is I'll put hot glue on the outside here where the cables are coming out. Now this is the cable I'm using for the motor, as I said, and I have the 2 of them put opposite each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it that way. Actually, I'll lie this thing down and show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it yeah, that way, right, like so. And the reason I'm opting for that is the wire then for the motor can come neatly out over the top and onto the motor, and there's no big dangling like a clothesline or anything like that. So yeah, all I need to do is figure how or what I'm going to do to mount this box onto this guy here. It's not going to be a quickie job anyway, so what I'll do is I'll leave you again and I'll figure out, and I will report back to you what I decided on and what worked best, because if it's glue, well, it's going to be 24-hour kind of curing and make sure that it's well fixed to it. It's not something you can really use. I could use hot glue, but hot glue isn't that great. Yeah, I need to use good glue and clamp that down, that it's held firmly in position, and I'll try and find a little cap to work on the back of the motor to hide the connections, and I'll also wire in these, and then we'll get to actually using it and see was it worth all the effort. Okay, so bear with me, I'll be back when I have this set properly, a little cap on your man, the wire soldered to the motor, and it's ready to rock and roll. Okay, so where I'm at the minute is I've ended up putting a backing on the box, as you can see there, and I put hot glue on the cables outside, and so this is the one that's going to my battery, and I decided to use epoxy resin in the end to try and stick the box to the unit, and so far it seems to be working okay. Now the epoxy resin is set. I was given that time to cure and set. The only thing that's left to do now is to cut this wire. I'll take off these clamps. There's one, and there's 2, and there's our little box. Okay, so as I said, the only thing left to do now is measure this wire and cut it that it will solder to the back of the motor, and so I just cut that, and I'll split it. I'm going to put on my glasses for this. Split that back along. Okay, so I go there, like so, and this one can go to there. And leaving the length he is, just strip it off. Okay. Now I need my soldering iron. It doesn't matter the polarity, but I would like the chuck to go in forward motion when this little selector switch is down at 1, and when it's up the way then I'd like it to be reversed. So for that reason and that reason alone, you would have to take into account the actual polarity of it. So if I get it wrong, I can test it before I solder them onto the back of the actual motor. And then we should be okay. Just double these guys over and we solder this together. Okay, now before I solder that to the motor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this guy into play. Basically it's just a 12-volt battery with cigarette lighter adapter on it. I'll take this out of my way and I'll slide it over. So that the wire will reach. Take all this junk out of my way, because this is junk at the minute. And that. And I bring this guy over here and plug him in there. Now it is only 12 volt, but it's enough to test it. This is my battery spot welder that I built ages back, and again you can see that on one of my videos that I made. I'm gonna just check this now and see how we go. I'm just gonna hold these here with my hand, and if I can manage it. Okay, now, and I'll put him into 0 and I'll turn him on, and there we go. Now, okay, so I happen to be the right way around, right? You can see the chuck is actually turning, and it's turning in the right direction there. So if I flick the switch to the center, then it stops, and if I go to the number 2 position on it, it reverses the actual chuck. Not altogether as lively as when it's on the 18 volt. So I just, and again I have full speed control. Come on. Okay, I will knock it off, and the orientation I'm on is right, so I'll bring out these and solder them on. And okay, that's one. And this one here. burn my fingers all right. Okay, so that's that. Now I'll put that down neatly like so. Eventually what I'll do is I'll get some kind of a plastic lid from, I don't know, shaving bottle or something like that, and I'll put it over the motor to act like a little cap and to cover those connections, and I'll tuck that in there nicely, and I might use a bit of hot glue there to hold the wire down, that there's no danger to it clipping off anything. So I left you with this here where I had to put a lid on it. I said I'd put a lid on it, and I did. I found a little lid belonging to a gallon can. It was white colour. I painted it black, cut a little slot in it to allow the wire through, and works perfect. It's just sitting there at the moment. I will glue it later on to make it more secure, but it's quite happy there. It's not going anywhere. The other end of the thing then with connections, oh yeah, I put hot glue there, as I said I would, to hold this wire here. That's fine, easy enough. The other thing then I finished off was I had to put a new cigarette lighter adapter plug on this end, because the one that was on it previously was too rusty, too corroded, wasn't working. It was a hit and miss. So this is as good as new. I put hot glue on the wires coming out at the back here of the box as well. So all this end of it is finished. The other thing that then I had to do was make up a little lead and a means to connect to the actual battery, right? So this is 18-volt battery from other drill, and what I did was I made up this lead here and made up a kind of a makeshift little plug to work on it. This has the female side of the cigarette lighter adapter, and you just basically plug the two together like so, right? And then what I did this end is a piece of plastic, measured the spacing between the two, the positive and the negative, positive negative of the actual battery, and lined up these two L brackets so that they would slide directly in to the connections and make contact. Okay, so if in the future I come across an old one of these, the charger unit, that would make a lovely plug for it, but for the moment I'll stick with this. Now at the back of it I use two little lug connectors crimped on. One is red, one is black. Idea is positive, negative, obviously. So the battery is marked positive and negative, and you basically push in the two and turn it up like that. So now what I'll do is I'll slide this over closer to this camera, and hopefully you'll be able to see the little LED coming on. There's the speed control, there's the LED in the middle, and this is the directional switch there. So I'll try and keep my big thumbs out of the way. And you can see the LED is coming on there, and the more you turn it up, the brighter it gets, which indicates more speed at the chuck end. Alright, so that's all working fine and looks good and all the rest, but looks and all that is not enough. It has to be able to drill. So I have a piece of box iron here, 1/4 inch thick. I have a 6mm drill bit, and we'll see how we can, am I going the wrong way? We'll see how it will cope with it. Now, see, is it worth all the effort? Here we go. drill bit is not that sharp. Well, that's what I believe anyway. But anyway, that's a 6mm hole. Let's up the ante and go for an 8mm. See how that works. Okay. Full speed. There we go. That bit is a bit sharper. There you go. Success! So now I have a lovely little bench drill. It's capable of drilling through steel. I don't know how big, but as good as any hand drill, I'm sure. Here's a piece of timber with an 8mm bit. And no problem. No problem. So that's it, folks. It works. Success. So I hope you find this interesting. I hope you find it of use to you. Maybe you might make one yourself. Maybe you might have a stand, an old drill, and could marry the two together. So thank you for those that have subscribed, and please subscribe for those that haven't. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.